Hello folks, welcome to Bad Creepypasta. I'm afraid Matt can't be here. We felt it was pointless saving the soul of the show with an excommunicant heretic in the team. Today's story is Ronald McDonald House.
Woo!
And it's been requested by way too many people for us to list them off, but thank you everyone for your requests.
Yes.
And straight away, before I even start, it's paragraphed really weirdly, so it'll be about 3 sentences and then a new paragraph, and it looks to be like that the whole way through. Right.
Brilliant. Excellent.
I'm sure you've heard of the Ronald McDonald House charity.
Yes, for once I actually have, yes.
They provide housing for families of sick kids when they're in the hospital. Seems pretty innocent, right? Well, there's another side to the charity. Mm-hmm. There's another type of Ronald McDonald House.
Is it the one where they sell burgers? Is it called just McDonald's?
One that not many people know about. It's good though because they make the kids sick with their disgusting obesity-causing, cancer-containing carcinogenic foods, and then then they sort
Make
of
better.
Yeah, they give them housing for the families when they're in hospital, so they don't look like the bad guy. It's good.
It's good.
So I'm going to get a bunch of lolbatarians in the comments going, don't make McDonald's the bad guy. Nobody's forcing these kids to eat fucking McDonald's. There's one in most big cities, but you won't find it by looking for it. It doesn't have an address. It doesn't have a sign above the door. It doesn't even have windows.
I'm pretty sure I've noticed a building without windows in my city.
Does it use Mac instead? Apple stuff
instead? Yeah, it's a play on words. Look, some buildings don't have windows. There was a taxation on windows once. No, the only way you'll find it is if you're taken there. That's how I found it.
Oh, good.
New paragraph dash new paragraph. I've never met my real parents. I've been in and out of foster families and group homes here in Detroit since I was a kid. I'm 15 now, and I'm what they refer to as a bad kid. Well, you do live in Detroit, so...
I didn't want to make the joke. I just thought I'd leave that one to you, mate.
Always causing trouble. Always getting thrown out and placed with another unsuspecting do-gooder who thinks they can help me. I always prove them wrong.
Aren't you, edgy?
My caseworker sat across the black metal table, looking weary and frazzled. On the table between us was a thick, letter-sized brown envelope. My case file.
Well, your reputation has preceded you,
she said.
And now you only have 2 options. Military school in Lansing or the Ronald McDonald House, which has miraculously cleared you for acceptance.
What is even happening?
I don't know.
I don't have the patience for drill sergeants and 5 a.m. reveille. And how bad could a halfway house named after a fast food clown possibly be? Ronald McDonald House it was. Yeah, why would you give him the 2 options? Cake or death?
It's basically the option you can
I choose cake, please.
Like we've run out of cake.
So you've got death or death.
Yes.
Dark clouds loomed above me the day I climbed into the back of my caseworker's town car. A few belongings...
Would they use a rope or something? How big was this car?
In a backpack and the clothes on my back. That's all I could take. One of the few belongings I had was a photo album, filled with pictures of all the foster families I had been with. It was nice to remember some of them, even though I had royally fucked it up each time.
Well, that's probably your own fault.
I've had a few cases who went through the Ronald McDonald House,
the caseworker said from the front seat.
Things went so well for those kids, I never had to transfer them anywhere else. In fact, the house took over their case files and everything.
I'm calling it now, guys. Big Macs are people.
The Hamburglar exists.
No, I'm saying it's like
your children.
It's like Soylent Green. That's my prediction. A couple of paragraphs in.
So it's Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal.
Immediately kill yourself. We drove into downtown Detroit, past all the familiar landmarks.
Name them.
The various smouldering craters.
Please name the familiar landmarks.
So here's Motown.
No. And
there's a dumpster that is on fire. There's the dumpster that's not on fire.
Oh wait, no wait. Now it's on fire.
Now it's on fire.
It's on fire. Okay. Toby, have you seen what Hiroshima looks like now versus what Detroit looks like now? Which proves it's a lot easier to cope with a nuclear bomb than it is to cope with the people who live in Detroit.
I'm glad you said that and not something.
Well, I was going to say but you told me I wasn't.
I had been thrown out of one foster home just outside of town because I snuck into downtown Detroit with some neighbour kids to sneak into a dive bar. Good times.
Well, here we are.
The car came to a stop. I looked out the window. We had parked in front of a tall grey windowless building, sandwiched in between two other industrial buildings on a narrow street. I noticed that there was an address on the building to my left and one on the right, but none on this particular building. Not even a sign. Are you sure? I don't know, is that how people from Detroit speak?
I don't fucking know.
I'll do.
It's in New York.
And it
So
was. It was.
Yoink! Just a room full of people. You have family in America. Like Toby and I at least have never been to America. What's your excuse?
I'm copying Limmy's show. New York.
I asked, hesitating as
Don't
I
say
opened...
it twice.
Say it 3 times and New York would just appear in the state of New York. I asked, hesitating as I opened the car door and climbed out of the back seat. I slung my backpack over my shoulder, clinging tightly to the strap, and followed the caseworker up to the windowless metal doors. She pressed the buzzer and spoke to someone inside. And the doors clicked to unlock. We walked in. As soon as the metal doors closed behind us, I noticed the pin drop silence. It was that sort of silence that is so oppressive and empty, it almost deafens you, and apparently makes you feel bad about yourself. Across the dimly lit lobby, there was a glass window with someone inside. A secretary. She was turned away, typing something intently. We walked over to the window. My caseworker rang a bell on the counter, and the secretary spun around in a chair. Her face was painted like a clown.
What a spook.
I'm sorry, but if you're trying to establish like a foster home or whatever, this is supposed to be a halfway home. I don't fucking know. Dressing like having your face like a clown, isn't that kind of scary?
Right. Her face was painted like a clown. Like Ronald McDonald, in fact.
The OG himself.
She even had the short curly red hair.
What?
Otherwise, she wore a typical white nurse's
What do you
dress.
mean otherwise?
Just
you can't
imagine
ignore
Ronald
that.
McDonald wearing a nurse's dress.
That's nothing you can skip over. Just like, oh, Dawn, how you doing? Oh, Jesus Christ, what happened to your hair, man?
I wanted to laugh at how bizarre it was, but I couldn't.
Why?
It's alright, we'll laugh for you. A chill swept down my spine. Something was not right. I watched as the nurse and my caseworker interacted. Paperwork was passed through the window. The caseworker slid my case file under the glass, as the nurse slid her some papers to sign. As my caseworker signed the papers, the nurse looked at me. Her smile should have been warm and welcoming, but all I saw in her eyes was hunger.
Hang on, Jacob, look at me. Are you hungry? No one can look at me with their eyes with hunger. Okay, let me look at myself.
You're looking at your fist.
I am. I'm pretending that there's a mirror.
You're miming to
Hang
an
on.
audience that cannot see
Hang
you.
on. Maybe why don't you get my phone? Right, okay.
You can pretend though. You don't have to really
Right,
get
no,
your phone
I'm
out.
gonna do it. Right, okay. Just dedication to my audience right now. My audience. Fuck you guys. No, right. That's not a hungry look, is it? Like, what does someone look like you when they're looking at you with hungry eyes?
I don't
Is it
know,
like that
Toby.
song?
I
You feel
don't
the
know,
magic
Toby.
between you and I.
I can't stay here.
Is that the voice?
That is the voice.
Okay. I stammered loudly. Fuck it.
Take me to the military school in Lansing, please.
Oh
My
God.
name is David Bowie.
That is nothing. Like it's not even resembling.
Hey, come on now.
I think you broke Jacob.
It's crazy.
What's the matter, sweetie? The nurse asked, her voice muffled slightly by the glass. Afraid of clowns?
There's no Super Mario laugh. He's adding that. He's ad-libbing again, folks. I looked into her hungry eyes. Now there was a malicious glint as she laughed. My caseworker laughed too, obliviously, and said,
No, don't overreact. You'd hate the military school. Besides, this'll be good for you. And as you can see, this love was meant to be.
Yes!
said the clown nurse.
That's just clown nurse.
It's just so
Clown
odd.
nurse. This'll be good for you.
Before I could object, I heard a slam behind me.
Fuck that.
I spun around to see an open door in the far corner of the lobby. To the left of the front desk window, there was no one there, just the light that flooded in from the door. Then the creeping shadows, shrill echoing laughter, and growing shadows along the wall inside the door.
Oh!
Said the caseworker.
Here comes the welcome committee.
As I stared in horror, clutching the strap of my backpack, my caseworker patted me on the shoulder for the last time.
Don't worry, honey. It'll be different this time. You'll feel right at home here. I promise.
She turned to leave. I felt bile churning in my stomach.
No!
I said desperately.
You can't leave me here! That is the worst accent, but I don't care.
Oh no, I've got to get going. I never did like clowns.
And with that, she left me there. The metal door slammed behind her, and I was alone. I faced the open doorway by the front desk again. The shadows had almost entered the room, and the piercing laughter was filling the lobby with sound.
They had pitchforks, torches. What's going to be around this door? What's going to happen? Go on, let's have a look.
I ran for the front doors.
Why? Nothing has provoked you yet apart from Clown Nurse. Why are you so scared? Hungry eyes? Don't be so afraid of a song, mate.
Pounded and yanked and pushed and screamed. Screamed for help. Screamed for my caseworker. Screamed for anyone. Please, God.
Maybe it's kind of an attitude. Maybe you deserve it. You've been a twat all your life, essentially, ain't you?
I turned to see the nurse behind the glass smiling at me again. And then they entered, laughing all the while. A whole group of laughing nurses with clown faces and red hair.
Oh, God.
Some male,
oh, God.
some female, but all with the same terrifying Ronald McDonald makeup. Terrifying Ronald McDonald makeup. You really can only choose one.
How does that work? Just like, what makeup should I go for today? I think I'll go for the Ronald today. It's a good look. It's in season.
Well, presumably, Toby, that's just the theme of the Ronald McDonald halfway house.
I'll go for the Ronald, yeah. Give me the hair. Get on the hairdressers. What do you want? Perm? The Ronald?
The Big,
the Big Mac.
the Mac Nuggets.
Oh, fuck's sake.
And in the dim light of the lobby, I could see the glint of metal tools in their hands. Coming up the rear was a...
Sounds a bit rude.
You children.
Oh, shut up. You'll be like, sounds a bit rude.
To be fair, I was trying not to laugh, so there. It was a pair of clown nurses rolling a metal table, complete with restraints.
Coming up the back passage.
Rolling a metal table? What just like a like a sleeping bed?
All I'm imagining now is the Silent Hill nurses with Ronald McDonald clown makeup.
Really, because
their faces painted on.
I'm imagining really because I'm imagining clowns ejaculating in someone's anus. That's what.
I mean, what else should you
With
take away from the story other than that?
With metal tools.
Jacob has a clown fetish confirmed. Get the fuck away from me!
Boy.
Boy!
I screamed. I pounded at the metal doors again.
Let me out of here!
They surrounded me, grabbing me as I thrashed and screamed and tried to tear myself away, laughing as I kicked and squirmed. They slammed me onto the rolling table and strapped me down. I looked around wildly. I was surrounded.
Let me go! Let me go!
I screamed, twisting and turning and pulling at the restraints. They rolled me through the open doorway and down a seemingly endless white hallway. They laughed and laughed and laughed. They waved their shiny scalpels and razors and needles mere inches from my face, just to make me flinch and scream. This made them laugh even harder. The last thing I remember before one of them finally injected me was the hands, gloved fingers prodding inside my mouth and pulling at the sides of my mouth, distorting my screams and forcing an unnatural grin onto my tear-streaked, sweaty face. Hot, rancid breath in my face, and the whispered, perverted voice speaking the words, "We love to see you smile."
That was a weird voice, but it sort of works for it. Anyway, he's getting a free dental check. What's he on about, man? Like, he has to be restrained because he's an established bully, alright? This place has got nothing wrong with it. Just because there's a few clowns, some people might be
They are waving
scared.
scalpels in his face. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
you're
sure
going to
I'm not sure I
free
approve of
checkup,
that. Then, as the maniacal laughter seemed to warp and wind down like a dying record player, everything faded to black. I don't know if dying record player is a very good metaphor. It sounds like it's actually like conscious. And
It's like, kill me.
I opened my eyes and I was blinded by bright lights above. Shielding my groggy eyes from the fluorescent bulbs, I turned on my side and looked around.
Turned on my PS4.
Tall white walls covered in scratch marks and stains. A small drain in the corner of my floor. My toilet, perhaps. A door with no windows. And on the floor, by the door, my backpack. I tried to sit up. My body ached, and the moment I sat upright, my vision started spinning.
Your vision spinning chicken nugget.
Wonder what they drugged me with. I realised I was shivering. I looked down and wasn't wearing my clothes anymore. I was wearing a dirty, ripped hospital gown, bright yellow, with a pattern of Ronald McDonald heads all over, nothing underneath.
That sounds great.
I heard faint, muffled sounds from somewhere in the building. It sounded like screams.
I tried to stand, but I couldn't keep my balance.
Wow.
My vision was beginning to stabilise, but my body still felt like rubber. I sank to my knees and crawled over to my backpack. Before I got there, I tried to open the door. As expected, it was locked.
As expected, I got on the floor.
With luck, I landed on the ground. I slumped onto the floor beside my backpack and unzipped it. All that remained inside was the photo album. They had taken my notebooks and pens and my cell phone. Of course they did. I wearily opened the photo album, but instead of the photos that had been in there, photos of myself with my previous foster families, photos where I had attempted to look happy and hopeful, even though I knew I wouldn't be there for long,
Then why bother?
Instead of those photos,
Oh my god, get on with it!
They were like crime scene photos, and in
Right.
each one, I recognised one of my former foster families, brutally murdered and covered in blood.
Except it was you that did it. Spoilers, that's my prediction. He killed everyone, they drugged him, he went on a murderous rampage, and now he's in this room with Ronald McDonald, face man, stuff.
My heart raced and my stomach churned. I began to turn the pages quicker. Each page a new photo, a new family, a new carnage. I recognised their faces and in the inside of their homes. I'd lived with all these people, and now they're all dead. I came to the last few pages. A photo of a house at night. Then a window of that house. Then inside the house, a dark...
In the dark house, there were dark stairs. Down the dark stairs, there was a dark cellar.
The dark set.
3 skeletons lived.
Whoa, spook! It's the month of October.
A dark hallway with light coming from one doorway. Then, a photo of my caseworker brushing her teeth at the bathroom mirror.
Is this like live photos right now? He's getting them straight to the photo album as soon as he turns the page. Whoa, this is happening right now.
Then a photo of her looking at the camera in horror. Then a photo of the caseworker, naked, covered in her own blood, contorted into an unnatural position in her bathtub.
The lambda from Half-Life.
I turned to the last page. Written inside the back cover of the photo album were 3 words.
You never existed! I don't know why I did.
I felt bile rising in my stomach. I threw the book to the ground and crawled over to the hole in the floor and vomited. They were right. Having killed everyone who ever knew me, it was as though I never existed.
Okay.
I heard more
Why do this? And if they're going to do this, why show it to you? What does that achieve?
Hopelessness.
I heard more faint screaming in the distance. I knew I had to get out. I wiped the vomit off my face with my hospital gown and crawled back over to my backpack. Hopefully they hadn't found my secret weapon. I unzipped the front pocket and reached...
And there it was. Meatballs and spaghetti. And the unnatural ability to do that.
So that I can sneak pasta.
Fucking kill yourself, Gemma. Jesus.
And the ability to write a pasta, which is creepy.
I zipped the front pocket and reached down to the very bottom.
Ooh.
Pulled out my 3DS.
It was the devil's iPod.
There's people fucking on my couch. My fingers scraped the
Why are
fabric.
they fucking on my couch? Come on.
Sure
I
enough.
pull out my George Washington.
Sure enough, there they were, flush with the seams in my bag, nearly undetectable. The pins I use for picking locks.
Oh,
I told you, I'm a bad kid.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You are obscene. No one I know No one I know can pick a bloody lock. Why can a 15-year-old do it? Oh wait, no, he can't. Just because you play Fallout 3 once doesn't mean you can bloody do it. You silly fuck.
He's a bad kid, Toby.
He's like, I told you.
He's dodgy.
Oh,
Everyone knows that's that crime epidemic in Detroit of all the kids running around picking locks. I mean, it's bad over there, man.
It goes hand in hand, bad kids, expert lock picker. Fuck off.
They call themselves the locksmiths.
Yeah.
You know.
They smith locks and they locksmiths. You ever called Smith? Fucked.
No, what they do is they lock people called Smith, like in
houses,
and burn them down because they live in Detroit. And...
I told you I'm a bad kid. Just fuck off. Why are you trying to establish that again? We already know. You're putting capital letters at the beginning.
I'm a bad kid.
Edgy, more like. That's what you're trying to be. I bet you took this inspiration from Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know why I'm getting that.
Nothing personnel, kid.
The author is probably like ever so slightly overweight, with like who unironically like uses XD when he's sending people messages and has way too much hair.
Yeah.
And he probably listens to what's his name? What's that song by? Oh, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Drowning Pool.
Drowning Pool. You know that other song that they did.
Oh, I'm tearing away. That one.
They did a song other than Bodies.
Yeah, it's like, I don't care about anyone else but me.
That's why it's the OG song. They were listening to that while writing this.
And then there's like a line in it where it goes, "Oh god damn, I love me." I remember that.
I was gonna be honest, because if you think that song's bad, imagine Dragons.
Okay, well, here we are. I leaned against the door and listened. I could hear footsteps approaching, but just as soon as they had come, they faded in the other direction. I knew I had to work fast. I jiggled the handle with one hand and picked the lock with the other hand. It was surprisingly simple.
I'll jump back in now.
Was it?
Okay.
Did you whip out a credit card as well and just go? Here you go.
Holding the handle, I slowly pulled myself to my feet. I could maintain my balance now. I pulled the door open, just a crack.
I'm not done with the lock. I'm not done with the lock picking.
Why are you so fixated on the fucking lock picking?
Because if he couldn't walk 5 seconds ago, basically, how could he suddenly be an expert lockpick when he's just gained consciousness?
I don't know. It's stupid. What do you want?
Story is false.
What do you want from me?
It's like this never took place.
A clown nurse darted past. My heart almost stopped, but his footsteps didn't slow or change, and soon faded. He didn't notice me. I'm glad you included that in the story. I poked my head out of the door, seemingly endless white hallways in either direction. The distant screams were louder now, coming from all around. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind me. I decided to go to the right, passing doors identical to the door I had been behind. I heard the screams and sobbing coming from behind each one. I stopped for a moment at one door. I heard the crying of a child inside. I jiggled the handle to see if I could let him out. Locked.
Expert lockpick, come on.
I kept moving, looking behind me every few seconds to make sure no more nurses had come into the hallway. Then I passed a set of white double doors. I stopped for a moment. The word "Play Place" was written in tall, thin letters across the width of both doors.
Oh, excellent.
I heard more screaming coming from within, the screams of multiple people, and laughter, the insane, shrill laughter of the clown nurses. What is actually going on? I shuddered. I was afraid to find out what sort of torture was happening inside, and I knew I had to keep moving.